We are concerned that the Russian government is preparing for an invasion in Ukraine that may result in widespread human rights violations and war crimes should diplomacy fail to meet their objectives. As part of its plans, Russia is laying the groundwork to have the option of fabricating a pretext for invasion. And we've seen this before. We saw this before leading up to 2014, just to note, including through sabotage activities and information operations, by accusing Ukraine of preparing an imminent attack against Russian forces in eastern Ukraine, and the Russian military plans to begin these activities several weeks before a military invasion, which could begin between mid-January and mid-February. Again, we saw this playbook before, including the widespread effort to push out misinformation, not just in Eastern Europe, but around the global community. We have information that indicates Russia has already pre-positioned a group of operatives to conduct a false flag operation in Eastern Ukraine. The operatives are trained in urban warfare and in using explosives to carry out acts of sabotage against Russia's own proxy forces. Our information also indicates that Russian influence actors are already starting to fabricate Ukrainian provocations in state and social media to justify a Russian intervention and sow divisions in Ukraine. The United States and our allies and partners are concerned about this cyber attack, and the president has been briefed. We are also in touch with the Ukrainians and have offered our support as Ukraine investigates the impact and nature and recovers from the incidents. We don't have attribution at this time, and I can't point to any more specifics. I know the Ukrainians also announced and conveyed that they got their systems up and running pretty quickly and that personal data was not accessed. We will continue to, of course, work with them and assess any additional impacts. We're continuing to consult with allies and partners, including Ukraine, on this.
If determined that Russia was behind the attack, how would the U.S. respond to that?
I'm just not going to speculate on that or preview what actions we would take at this time. I would just note that we will take necessary and proper steps, of course, to defend our allies, support our partners, and support the Ukrainian people, but we're still assessing that at this point in time.
Shalom, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua, Kal Halal, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth, and much respect to the Akim out there laboring in his work, and also to the believers scattered across the four corners of the earth, the hopeful elect at the USA. Shalom. So yeah, quick news and prophecy update, and it can go down at any moment. It can go down suddenly. So as we see propaganda being pushed out, all right, propaganda is pretty much turned up, and what these bankers are doing is they're creating a narrative. They're creating a boogeyman, as they always do, to pretty much blame for a future event that they want to cause. And that's how they get down, all right? Or they have chaos. They create the problem, and they bring in the solution, all right? Problem, reaction, solution. And so the ultimate solution that these bankers want to cause is a complete collapse of society, within the United States, which is going to allow them to bring in their solution being the Nicaragua, all right? But they need a scapegoat to blame it on, all right? Just like they always have blamed it on, foreign countries as, being so-called terrorists, dealing with the, what is that, Pearl Harbor, all right, 9/11, just a couple to name a few, all right? But this is what you see going on right now, propaganda used to blame Russia for a future event that these devils want to create. And I got some information pretty much going into that. So it can happen at any moment, So let's get into a scripture real quick. I'm going to pull Job 15:35. See, they conceive mischief and bring forth vanity, and their belly prepare deceit. That's how these devils operate. They create the mischief. Okay, they create these problems all the way over there in Ukraine at the border of Russia. They have created this problem. And so now they want to bring forth vanity in their mind on preparing deceit, So let's get this article that I've been going through lately, which pretty much outlines, the agenda of these elites. It's called The Pathway to an NWO in 6 Phases by Mike Yeadon. And for the most part, it's on point. So let's scroll down to phase 5. It says establish chaos and martial law, November 2021 through March 2022. And the first thing on is to exploit the shortages of goods and foods. And we have been seeing it, all right? Hashtag Bear Shares Biden. All right. Just to show you that this is what's currently going down. So when you go down to phase 6, it says cancel the debts and dematerialize the money in March 2022 through September 2022. And what do we have at top? It says trigger the economic and financial and stock market collapse, the bankruptcy of the banks. Okay. So if this is true, then this is what these devils are trying to do this year. Trigger the economic, financial, and stock market collapse. All right. The bankruptcy of the banks. And how do you think they're going to do that? All right. They're going to crash society, with a false flag event. Okay. So that's going to lead to what? The activation of the Great Reset. And then they're going to dematerialize the money and cancel the debts and loans, because everyone's going to be put in the debt. And they're going to say your debts and loans can be forgiven through the implementation of a digital all. All right. That's solution out of chaos. So it says impose the digital portfolio, the digital wallet. Okay. Which is going to ultimately lead to, you got food rationing in there. So they expect it to get bad. It's going to lead to the third stage. All right. The third stage of digital control, extension of the NOM to the whole planet. The NOM, which is the Novus Ordo Mass. So they expect by this to have the NWO completed by 2022, the third stage of digital control. All right. So with that being said, I got another article to go into, because these devils have been planning for this for a minute. The so-called cyber pandemic. And your boy Klaus Schwab mentioned back in, I think, 2016, he says in 10 years, everyone will be chipped, roughly paraphrasing. And so let's get into this real quick. Social Co, or the Sociable, it says Israel hosts cyber pandemic exercise simulating a cyber attack on global financial system with 10 countries, IMF, World Bank, and BIS. Okay. It says collect the strength. Simulate attack on the financial sector is a continuation of global efforts to prepare the public and private sectors for a coming cyber pandemic that will wreak havoc over all of society. Okay. It says held in Jerusalem on Thursday. And I think this came out sometime in 2020. It says held in Jerusalem on Thursday. The cybersecurity training exercise dubbed Collective Strength was aimed at increasing international cooperation that could help to minimize any potential damage to financial markets and banks, according to a Reuters exclusive. So as we can see, these devils, they got a plan to crash the economy and to bring in a solution that's going to be put out there as a, basically a solution, for your financial problems. They're going to put the people in debt, and they're going to have a debt forgiveness program with this chip included to allow you to continue your life. And we see who was all involved right there. Okay. So let's see what else they got. Klaus Schwab says a lack of cybersecurity has become a clear and immediate danger to our society worldwide. Okay. Let's see. He says at the top, a year prior at Cyber Polygon 2020, the WEF found a warning we all know but still pay insufficient attention to, the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack which would bring a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. So what do you think that's going to cause, man? Complete chaos. All right. We're going to allow them to bring in the troops to corral everything and get everything back in order. And that's going to be the perfect time to implement that charagma. So it says the C-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. Okay. There's one more point I want to grab within this. Let's see. Okay. at the top, discussions from last year's Cyber Polygon. It says exercise centered around the globalist continued call for public-private collaborations, the adoption of digital identity schemes. See? And the desire to censor misinformation that went against authoritative messaging. That's what they were talking about. All right. So pretty much, during this time of chaos in which this digital identity, will be implemented, you're not going to be able to speak out against, their agenda. All right. They're going to have troops patrolling the streets, and anyone speaking against the authority of the NWO will be dealt with. Okay. Let's read this real quick. It says this year's Cyber Polygon 2021 concluded with discussions paving a path towards a greater centralization of power. All right, we know they want a centralized bank and surveillance that furthers the Great Reset agenda of the global economy and all societal structures. So this is the perfect opportunity to implement that thing, man. All right, that thing. And it can go down at any moment. They can crash or have a so-called cyber attack at any moment. And that's why, 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter tells us, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you, because we expect all hell to break loose at any moment. Okay? Talking about the hopeful elect. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord Yahushua so cometh as a thief in the night. All right? So when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. And that's ultimately going to be the return of Yahushua with the missiles. Okay? But even though in this time there's going to be sudden destruction with the power going out, okay, in which these people are going to panic. So these are the times that we're coming into, in which we got to be prepared for it. So Revelation 13 and 16, as we all know, it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. How do you think he's going to make that happen? He's going to cause chaos to bring in that mark, man. It says, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So you're not going to be able to buy or sell when society collapses and they get rid of the money. They dematerialize the money, and they bring in this new solution, which is going to be this charagma. And you're going to see a lot of people take that thing, man. Okay, again, going back, phase 6, trigger the economic, financial, and stock market collapse, the bankruptcy of the banks. Okay. It says ultimately to activate the Great Reset, dematerialize the money, and cancel debts and loans, impose the digital portfolio, the digital wallet, all right, seize properties and lands, and ban all global medicines. Okay. Impose food rationing and a diet based on Codex, whatever that is. But anyway, they're going to extend these measures to emerging countries. Okay. Resulting in the third stage of digital control by the all. All right, it's going to be the NWO, as they call it. So according to this, they want to do this by 2022. So this could be the year, man. Right, this could be the year. So Lord willing, that was edifying. Till next time, I say, Shalom.